This lecture was private. It was not intended for the general public. No recordings were made. Only a few students were present, those who, according to Cayce, were already on the threshold of understanding. And now, after so many years, we will open that door. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, gathered them in a small room without windows. The space was filled with the scent of lavender and myrrh. These fragrances, as he said, cleanse the mind and prepare the soul for the truth. You are not listeners, you are travelers, pilgrims who will soon embark on a journey not upon the earth, but into other realms, he began. Some present at that time were doctors. Someone was a teacher. One woman was the mother of 5 children. They seemed like ordinary people. But Cayce insisted there were no coincidences here. The human soul, he said, undergoes trials not only in earthly life. The main examinations await it further on. After the body falls away like an old garment. He paused. The room held the kind of silence that comes before a storm. You already feel it now, when you wake up in the middle of the night for no reason, when your heart tightens and you do not know why, when you stand at the window and suddenly catch the thought, something is coming. This is not anxiety. This is the call. Many exchanged glances, because it was about them, about those nighttime awakenings, about vague forebodings, about the feeling that life is only a preparation for something greater. Cayce approached the board and drew a circle with chalk. This is what awaits the soul after death. He divided the circle into 4 sectors. The first trial is awareness. The soul must understand that it is no longer part of the material world. Those who cling to the body, to the familiar self, suffer the most. Therefore, even during life, learn to let go. Things, fears, old grudges. The second part of the circle was the encounter with the shadow. Here, everyone faces what they have denied in themselves. Envy, anger, self-pity. Everything you have hidden will come to life in images. But this is not punishment. This is a chance to heal. Someone in the room sighed, because everyone carried their shadows deep inside. The third sector was the re-evaluation of the earthly. Your deeds, words, and thoughts will feel different. What once seemed important, money, status, will become dust, and random kindness, simple forgiveness, will gain immense weight. And finally, the 4th sector, the choice of the path. No one commands where to go next, but the soul, having passed through the first 3 circles, understands by itself whether it is ready for the light or chooses to return and correct lessons. Cayce paused. This is why we are here, so that when the soul's hour comes, it will not be caught off guard. He looked each person in the eye. Trials await you, but also great hope. Preparation begins now. Cayce put down the chalk. In his voice sounded that very intonation which the students later remembered until the end of their days. Not a preacher, not a teacher, rather a witness. Many believe that it is enough to believe in goodness, and the path will be easy. But this is an illusion, he said. Trials do not punish. They show what you have learned, just as a blacksmith tests metal with fire. He approached the window. Behind the curtain there was only the darkness of night. Do you understand, Cayce continued, that the soul agrees to these trials even before birth? Some nodded. The others froze in bewilderment. Yes. What seems to you as injustice, illnesses, betrayals, losses, is not punishment. It is an agreement, concluded by you, for growth. A woman in a blue dress, the very mother of 5 children, whispered, "But why suffering? Why not joy?" Cayce smiled gently. "Do you remember how you learned to walk? At first it was painful. Then it became freeing. The soul, like a child, stumbles. and only through this does it grow stronger. At that moment, a quiet ticking of a clock was heard in the room. It seemed as though time itself was listening to these words. Many of you have already begun your preparation, even if you are not aware of it. When you forgive those who did not ask for forgiveness, when you help without hoping for gratitude, when you remain honest despite temptation. These are small victories, said Cayce, and they will have great significance there. He drew again on the board, this time not a circle, but a ladder. Each step is a quality of the soul that will ease the transition. He began to list humility, not humiliation, but the ability to admit, I can be wrong. Courage, not in being fearless, but in moving forward despite fear. Compassion, the ability to feel another's pain as your own. Wisdom, the ability to choose the light even when surrounded by darkness. Each word resonated in the hearts of the listeners. Some bowed their heads, some clasped their hands, because it was about them, about their quarrels with loved ones, about unresolved fears, about those moments when it would have been easy to choose resentment, but they chose forgiveness. And the final quality, Cayce quietly added, is readiness for change. A soul frozen in the past cannot move forward, even if that past was filled with light. He approached the woman in blue. You lost a child, he said almost in a whisper, and your heart remained in that day. But the child has completed his lessons. Now you must complete yours. Tears sparkled in her eyes, and once again, this was not about abstract truths. This was about her. Cayce straightened up. You are not alone. No person crosses the great threshold alone. There will be guides, those whom you loved, and even those whom you considered enemies, because the soul sees not faces, but the light behind them. He fell silent, allowing the words to settle. And now, he finally continued, I will tell you the main thing, that for which we have gathered. Everyone froze. Even their breathing became quieter. At the moment of transition, Cayce began, it is not the body that defines who you are, nor your name, nor achievements, awards, or mistakes, only the vibration of the soul. He looked at each person attentively. Vibration is not mysticism. It is the essence of your nature. It is formed by how you think, feel, and act, every day, every minute. And again the listeners exchanged glances, because this too was about them, about those moments when they chose goodness in small things, or did not, about those times when the heart suggested acting with conscience, but fear or pride stopped them. When you cross over, the vibration becomes your passport. It will draw you either toward the light or toward zones of suffering, said Cayce. But the most important thing, nothing is final. Growth exists even beyond the threshold. At that moment, a breeze blew outside. The curtain fabric swayed slightly, as if the night itself was eavesdropping on the lecture. You may ask how to prepare the soul, how to create this vibration of light. Cayce approached the table on which lay an old book. It was the Bible. But on top of it were 2 more volumes, collections of his own revelations. The answer is simple but not easy, he said. He raised 3 fingers. First, purity of thought. Do not allow fear or anger to linger in your mind. Thoughts form the field around you. If you wish to be closer to the light, think like the light. A man in a dark jacket quietly asked, but what if negative thoughts come by themselves? Sometimes I cannot stop them. This is natural, Cayce replied. Even the brightest souls face the shadow. It is important not to suppress it, but to acknowledge and release it, to say mentally, I see you, fear, but I choose love. He raised his second finger. Second, action. It is not enough to wish for goodness, you must do it. Remember, small good deeds are more important than loud promises. If you cannot help with money, help with a word. If not with a word, help with a glance, a smile, even silent presence next to those in trouble. And again the students nodded, because each recalled their small but important deeds, and the regrets about those times when they could have helped but passed by. Cayce raised his third finger. And third, connection with the source. Some will call him God, some the higher self, some the light. The name does not matter. What matters is that every day, even for a minute, you remember, I am not only a body, I am an eternal soul, part of a great whole. This memory strengthens the vibration more than any words. He paused again. Tell me honestly, he addressed the audience, who among you has ever felt not alone even in complete solitude? Almost all hands were raised. Exactly, Cayce smiled. That is the connection. Then he added, when the time comes, you will not be afraid, because you will recognize the light. It will seem familiar to you, for you have touched it every time you forgave, when you chose goodness, when you loved. He looked around at the audience. This was the first part. The second is more difficult. In it, I will speak of the traps that await the soul after the transition, so that you will know the enemy by face. And he turned off the light. The room plunged into semi-darkness. The most important was beginning. The silence was almost tangible. Only the rustle of breathing and occasional sighs could be heard. The light had gone out, not by chance. Before speaking of the traps, Cayce began in the darkness, you must learn to feel when the vision disappears, but the truth remains. He struck a match. Its small flame illuminated his face. This is how the soul sees the truth in a world where there is almost no light. The flame went out. The first trap, his voice sounded in the darkness, is the illusion of quick freedom. The soul, especially if it was constrained in life by illness, debts, burdensome relationships, after death seeks release, and often chooses a deceptive light, an easy path. Someone stirred in the depths of the room. Familiar images may appear to you. Beautiful places, voices calling, here is peace, here is the end of suffering. But this is not the light of the Creator. This is the energy of stagnation. It does not punish, but it delays. Souls can remain in such realms for years, even centuries, until they remember, development is movement, not rest. He struck the match again. The light barely illuminated his palm. Not every light is true, he repeated. The second trap is the burden of regrets. Souls who departed suddenly or with a sense of guilt may become stuck between worlds, Cayce continued. They cling to those they left behind. They try to fix past events, but they cannot. This is how attached spirits arise whom you call ghosts. Some listeners shuddered. Everyone recalled moments when they felt someone's invisible presence, in the house, in dreams, or in an empty room when it seemed someone was standing behind them. The most frightening thing, Cayce added, is that these souls often do not realize they have left. For them, time has stopped. They think, I am still alive. I still have time. He paused. Your duty, his voice softened, is to pray for such souls, not to drive them away, not to fear them, but to wish them light and remind them their path continues. The third trap was the most dangerous. Attachment to power and control. These are the chains of the mighty of this world. Those who in life were accustomed to ruling others, in the other world, they seek ways to retain power. Such souls can form entire hierarchies in the lower realms, subjugating the weaker, creating illusory kingdoms. He waved his hand in the air as if drawing an invisible web. Many great rulers, cruel leaders, tyrannical bosses after death continue the same game, only now their arena is the astral levels. The room became even quieter. Someone wiped a sweaty brow. "But do not be afraid," Cayce reassured them. "True light cannot be faked. A soul accustomed to choosing freedom and love will sense the falsehood and will pass by." He lit a lamp. The light was soft, warm. "This is what I want you to understand." His voice became firm. "There, beyond the threshold, the trials do not end. But those who consciously prepare in life will be able to move forward, not as the elite, but as leaders." He looked each person in the eye. "Your days are training, every no to fear, every yes to love. These are not just actions. This is the construction of a guiding thread that will lead the soul through any shadows." The man in the dark jacket again raised his hand. "And how can I know if my soul is ready? I am not a saint," Cayce smiled. "Readiness is not in sainthood, but in striving. Even if you fall, but rise each time. Even if you fear, but keep going. Striving itself is the proof of readiness." He turned again to the board and drew a spiral. "The soul moves not in a circle, but in a spiral. Each turn, a new lesson, a new understanding. Even mistakes become steps." Then Cayce approached the door. "Today I have given you the map, but you will have to walk it yourselves. Go boldly. Remember, trials await everyone, but light leaves no one behind." And he opened the door. In the hallway, a soft golden light was shining. "Until our next meeting," he said. And the students left, changed. Years passed. The students who had once sat in that windowless room had long since completed their earthly journeys. Some, quietly, among family. Some, suddenly, on the road. One of the female students departed in her sleep, smiling as her loved ones recalled, and only the records of memories made shortly after that lecture remained as testimony to that night. But Cayce's words did not die, because each generation again and again asks the same question: "Is my soul ready?" And if you have watched up to this moment, perhaps you too are among those who have already heard the inner call, who have awakened at night with the sense that beyond the familiar lies something greater, who have noticed signs, who perhaps have lost loved ones and asked themselves, "Where are they now?" You are not alone. And it is no accident that this video has found you. Legend has it that in Cayce's final recordings he said, "Those who have heard my voice will one day meet again, not on earth, but there, where the next journey begins. The sign will not be a face, not a name, but vibration, a light recognized without words." So if deep in your heart you feel, "This is about me," it means the path has already begun. What can you do now? Learn to let go of fear. Pay attention to your thoughts, even if they are dark. Acknowledge them and release them. Do good, even if it seems unnoticed. And most importantly, strengthen your connection with the source, each in their own way, through prayer, music, nature, silence. The method does not matter. What matters is remembering you are part of something greater. And when the time comes, there will be no fear. There will be recognition. The light will seem familiar, because you have been preparing for this meeting your whole life. As Cayce said, the light leaves no one behind. If this video has resonated with your soul, please give it a like. This will help other seekers find this information. Share in the comments. Have you experienced sensations or events that reminded you, beyond the familiar lies, something greater? And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next revelations. There is still much knowledge ahead that will help prepare your soul for its true journey.